Okay, it looks like we have a quorum on. So Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Chris Collins,
Here.
Juanita,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
Fred.
Here.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, without objection, I'm going to move to continued items because those are the people who are on the Zoom with us. And we can deal with the first item later. Boston Kent Road.
Yep, so this is the abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. I guess I can open it up to the other folks who are representing this this one. I will say I have received no comments or concerns about this project. I believe all questions were answered at the first meeting. Just as a matter of process, we had to continue. So I think at this point we are ready to close the hearing and vote on this one. So I don't know if Jesse or anyone would like to say anything about this project.
I think you captured it. You know, we were
This is
continued
Chris Lucas,
from
Lucas Environmental. Okay,
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, Chris and I are here. Basically, it's a continuance from late November. This is the Eastfield Mall. These are these parcels located to the southeast of the Eastfield Mall. They're vacant parcels where we performed resource area delineation, provided a plan for the commission to look at. It was walked with Kevin, myself, and Chris from Lucas Environmental. I'm not aware that there are any outstanding comments or questions, and we respectfully ask for you to vote on the depiction of those resources as shown on the plan submitted.
Thank you. If there are no further comments, then a motion to close the public hearing is in order.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Thank you, Peter. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Juanita. Stephanie,
Roll.
would you?
Chris,
Yes. Yes.
Juanita,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
And so we can vote to accept it now, or
Yeah,
we can do that later on.
we might as well just do it now if it makes no difference. The vote would be to issue an order of resource area delineation.
Their motion to issue, go ahead.
And I'll make a motion that we issue for Burn Bank, ANRAD, and Kent Road.
I'll second.
Roll.
Stephanie? Yes, please.
Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Fred? Yeah, okay.
Yep, there we go. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Kevin will get that, the official documentation sent out to you.
Great, thank you. We
Okay,
appreciate
great,
the
thank
time.
you.
Have a great
Take care.
holiday.
Have a good holiday, everybody. Merry Christmas. Okay, item B brings us to Caldwell Drive. So I believe we have some new information to present.
Yep. Mickey, do you want to share screen, or would you prefer that I do?
I can do that.
Okay.
Are you all able to see this plan that I put up?
Yep.
Yes.
So at the last meeting with the commission, all of you asked for a one-to-one mitigation. This is that cross-hatched area on the left side is an isolated wetland. It's not regulated by the state. It's regulated by the city. And what Colvest would like to do is, that was an excavated area, part of the gravel removal operation. They want to put the material back in that whole area. So it's basically just a place to stockpile material. Anyway, the commission asked for one-to-one mitigation, and that's shown. So the total area of that isolated wetland to be filled is 24,510 square feet. The mitigation is 24,700 square feet, but we've also included that red hatched area, which is a buffer zone enhancement in that 50-foot buffer. And that's a little over 33,000 square feet, 33,680 square feet. So what we also did is we added a little note to that isolated wetland. I just want to point out the pertinent part is that it says no work within wetlands may be conducted until all state and federal wetland permits or determinations are obtained. And the reason for that, DEP felt that we needed to file with the Army Corps of Engineers. So we'll do that. And just so you understand, the Army Corps has a different standard of wetland regulations than the state or the city has. We're anticipating that that area is either not regulated by the Corps or it's a much smaller area. But DEP asked that we go through that process, so we will. We'll have to wait for the snow to be gone and then reevaluate that. So anyway, if the commission approves the notice of intent, Colvest will not alter any wetlands until that Corps determination's been obtained. So they can work in the buffer zone with your approval, but they're not going to do any work in the wetlands.
So that was one piece I wanted to just bring up for discussion. From what you've been saying, Mickey, it seems unlikely, or the extent is lesser. So if we were to approve the order this evening, I didn't know if the commission was comfortable with allowing work in the meantime up into the 50-foot buffer of the existing wetland that you intend to fill, or if they'd be comfortable with something closer than that, with the one caveat that in the unlikely event that you don't get permission to fill from Army Corps, like, is that I guess I would just kind of like to hear your thoughts on it, and then see if the commission has anything they'd like to say.
Yeah, so the Army Corps has no buffer zone, so that there's no setback. Colvest could fill up to 5,000 square feet of wetlands with mitigation without a Corps permit. But we need to just figure out what area of that, if any, is going to be regulated by the Corps. So, what I would expect is that, Colvest would just basically put up erosion control at the 50-foot buffer of that bordering vegetated wetland and up to the edge of that isolated wetland, but not work within any of the wetlands.
Is there a scenario that that Army Corps, were you to be jurisdictional in their respect, is there a scenario that they wouldn't allow that square footage of alteration?
Yeah, so if for instance, if the Army Corps says, yeah, this entire area is regulated by them, by right, Colvest could fill up to 5,000 square feet as long as there was mitigation. But if they wanted to fill more, they need to file another permit, which is called the 401 water quality permit. So that's the scenarios that they would have. Okay.
But that square footage isn't something you suspect would be out of their, they wouldn't say no to that square footage. It would just purely mean you have to go through the process of getting the permit.
Well, what I'm recommending to Colvest is that they do zero work within the wetlands until the Army Corps reviewed it. So we're not going to second guess. You never know what they're going to say, right? You never know what's important, what's not important. I don't think it's a regulated core wetland, but they may feel otherwise. So the safest approach is just not to do work within the wetlands.
Yeah, maybe I'm not explaining myself clear. It was more, okay, the commission says, we're fine with it because it's not state regulated. We allow all this work up to it, but then in the end, you can't fill it because of Army Corps regulations. Then we have work right up to the edge of wetland. I mean, we're still getting the mitigation, I suppose.
We would do the mitigation. If that was a scenario, that mitigation plan is in place.
Okay.
So Mickey, what you're saying is what you're going to do is put erosion control silt fence around the isolated land, and then at the current 50-foot buffer around the wetland? Yes. Okay.
And that would be the limit of work, and the contractors can't work beyond, they can't work in the wetlands or in the 50-foot buffer of that BVW.
Yeah, my only thing was I'm sure you want to be careful where they work, where you say you're going to do the replication and not make it more difficult for you to do a replication,
Yeah, I think what would happen is we just come back and coordinate with you when Colvest was going to initiate that work, but obviously they're not going to do any work this winter. And I can't get the Corps out there really until the spring. So, there's no wetland related work that's going to happen in the near future.
Other questions by commission members?
I wanted to bring up one more thing about, I've kind of drafted for this. The timeline of mitigation versus filling.
Right.
Is there, I want to just make sure that the commission has a chance to comment on that. I think typically we try and have the mitigation happen before the filling, or at least happen simultaneously, because there's one outlier example of a very old project where the work happened and then the mitigation was happening, and then the project fell through and the people walked away. So we ended up, it's unclear about how the mitigation ended up going. So I just wanted to put that out there.
I think it'd be reasonable to put that condition to do it concurrently, and I think Colvest also to coordinate with the commission, with the other, want to make sure you have copies of the other permits or documentation from the Corps, and that can be coordinated.
So you would not have an objection to one of the conditions being that the work happen simultaneously? Mickey?
No, I think Peter indicated no.
Oh, okay. I
We
couldn't hear.
wouldn't object to that.
Just didn't hear you, Peter. Sorry.
We wouldn't object to.
Oh, no,
agreeing
I heard
to-
you that time. The first time I didn't. Sorry. Any other questions from commission members? Hearing none, a motion to close the public hearing for Colvest is in order. Caldwell Drive.
I make a motion.
Oh, go ahead, Peter.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing for Caldwell Drive.
I'll second it.
Roll,
Stephanie?
Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Fred. Fred?
Oh, Fred, I muted you because we were having a little feedback. You're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
Feedback? Is it better?
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
sounds
you're good. Yep. Okay, Kevin, do you want to do the order of conditions at this point?
Yeah, yep. So it'd be our standard order with the additional special conditions that we would allow work within our 50-foot no disturb. We would approve the resource area impacts. We would approve the mitigation plan. There would be a condition that says that mitigation is concurrent with the work to fill the wetland. As we typically do with our other wetland fill and mitigation projects, we're going to monitor the replication area through 3 growing seasons. That the commission would allow what was presented by Mickey about the setting buffer limits with erosion control, so work can occur prior to the approval by Army Corps, and that all other state and federal permits and would be in place prior to the start of work in the resource area.
All other, not including Army Corps, correct?
Yeah, correct. Well, in all other, yeah.
Does someone want to make a motion to issue the order as read?
I'll make a motion, we issue the order as read.
I'll second.
Thank you, Fred.
Roll.
Stephanie? Yep,
Chris,
yes.
Juanita,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
You gotta unmute there, Fred.
Yes.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a process, but it's worked out very well. Good luck with the Army Corps. I tend to agree with Mickey. I don't think they're going to find it jurisdictional, but we shall see.
Especially once they see it in person.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your help with this. Appreciate all the time you've given. So thanks again, and happy holidays to all of you.
no,
Take care.
Christmas, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. So Kevin, that brings us to Fairhaven. Is there an update on that or not?
Yeah, we got the revised plan set from Mike. I'll let him speak on that in just a second. Just like the highlights where they basically brought the end of the road and the stormwater system just out of the 50, right at the edge of the 50. One remaining piece on that the commission needs to decide is that they're going to remove the pipe, the pipe that came from the catch basin and discharges in the 50. They had planned to remove that, but left it to the commission whether or not the splash pad, which is really just kind of I don't know, it was a bunch of concrete and riprap that was just kind of thrown. The commission wants to just let that get grown over or that be pulled out as well at the same time. So that's like one remaining piece. The other big point that we were asking for more information on was the work inside the 50 that was not approved, the clearing. They put together a planting plan, which is just sort of the New England conservation seed mix. And I wanted the commission to comment on whether or not they were fine with just that kind of like, I don't know, is that like a wild like meadow kind of seed mix? Is that sufficient, or do they want anything woody in there? But they also put the monumentation at the 50-foot is on the revised plan. So I'll let Mike just kind of give an update on things, and then we can decide how to move forward.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. As Kevin mentioned, we basically addressed the items as we went through on the last meeting. We identified the existing clearing lawn limits. So in essence, it's approximately 3,200 square feet of revegetation that would take over. That's where we're proposing the New England Conservation Wildlife Mix. We could entertain some trees if the commission felt, that was proper for that area. Um, The proposed bounds were located upon the 50-foot limit. The benefit of this plan as well, above what you've seen previous and even existing conditions, is before development started, we actually pulled the roadway back approximately 10 feet from where the limits were originally. So originally as our client developed, I shouldn't say that, I don't want to mislead. The original roadway was just about 16 feet south of where we are currently. But all the work is outside of the 50-foot buffer as proposed. There is some temporary work that would be located within the 50-foot buffer, but it would be isolated in relative grading to the western side. Once the client gains approval with the Springfield city attorney, I would imagine, is where that approval will come from, because it is a Springfield vacant lot. Other than that, all the boundaries were updated. Paul Smith verified, the surveyor verified grades on 1211, as we spoke of last time we were there as well. So everything has been met. The only things that we don't have in hand is any legal agreement with the abutters just yet.
Some of the, so the grading work to make the road safe, as opposed to where it is right now, does go into that vacant lot that I don't think is, it's on the city rolls, but I don't know if there's really any realistic redevelopment of that parcel. So I don't know what the city attorneys are going to say, but that grading does cross a property boundary. So that's one agreement, and some of the restoration work, in terms of planting, crosses another property boundary into the rear. So those are the two things that, the commission can't approve work on land beyond that is owned by the applicant or under agreement by the applicant. So I think it would be prudent to wait till things are in place before the commission acts on this. But they have met our, what the commission is asking for. Again, we're not engineers. The design of the stormwater at the end of the road, they're putting it into a leaching galley? Is that?
Yeah. Yes.
So the water goes into a catch basin, goes into a leaching galley, and then so it's spreads out over like a kind of wall of riprap. I don't believe at this point that constitutes a point source discharge. So, and they're outside of the 50. It's right on the edge, but they're outside of the 50. So I think the commission can, approve this going forward with the caveat that any, if the plan changes, that we need to substantially changes, the applicant needs to come back to us and just amend whatever the commission approves. So the planting plan, I'll leave to the commission. If we want to, the conservation seed mix is great. If we want to add some woody veg in there, we can request that. But the big ticket for me is the approving work on land not owned by the applicant. So.
Okay, let's take the first one that you mentioned first, the planting plan. How does any opinion from the commission on just using conservation mix, whether or putting in trees or bushes or whatever? Does anybody wish to speak on that?
Well, I refresh my memory, but there was some trees taken down and some woody shrubs taken down. Am I right?
It was, wooded. It wasn't like mature forest, if memory serves, but it was vegetated with woody plants and stuff like that. And now it's just kind of open lawn.
Right. And it's open lawn though, that the applicant won't be able to use, right?
No, and that, I think the conservation mix, as long as, it's applied correctly, we didn't have like necessarily an explanation of the, pounds per square foot in what you had submitted, Mike. So that might be a good like clarification piece of just like how you would apply it. But that in general is meant to just grow up into kind of a field looking thing.
Right, a field, but there were bushes and for the wildlife that was there they were probably using those bushes. And so the wildlife mixture will grow woody plants as well, but I didn't know if maybe we should have a few plants already started to.
And we can always put in blueberry bushes or anything that would sustain or bring in wildlife as well, if anybody would be, would entertain that.
And I think, Juanita, as you're saying, especially along the 50-foot area, because if someone, the tenant's going to look at that and say it's lawn, I can just leave it lawn. And the monumentation, people pay attention or don't. Some vegetation is a better.
Yeah.
visual.
I mean, even if on the border of their property or what they can use, even some bushes along the edge there. They don't have to be expensive, but there could be some bushes just to know that that's the border.
Mike, last time you had brought up in a line of like arborvitae or something like that in lieu of concrete monumentation. Was that ever brought up with the client? And
the client would entertain that as well, at 4-foot spacing or whatever the commission felt was proper. They would do that also.
Okay. I mean, just, instead of going and putting a bunch of concrete out there, if you just do some more hardy plantings and then just kind of let everything behind it do its thing.
Yeah. Nope, we would entertain that if the commission felt comfortable, we would do that.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything about that planting plan, or as described now with a row of arborvitae or other species, similar species? And then let the wetland mix take effect beyond that, between that and the actual edge of wetland. Anybody else have any concerns, or is that okay with everybody?
I mean,
Seems
if
to be okay.
you could also suggest to them, since there's a large area behind there, they could, if they planted some sort of berry bushes, that they would enjoy the wildlife. I mean, it could be to their advantage, rather than say an arborvitae that would block the view of their backs, that if they get so tall. But I mean, they could plant some stuff. I mean, they could research it, plant some stuff that would give them a vista of the other side as well. But at least it's a border.
Correct. Okay, so I
How about-
think,
How about the
maybe,
splash pad? Does everybody leave it there, let nature take its course, remove it? What are people's thoughts on that?
I mean, my one comment is that if you're unearthing the pipe all the way to the splash pad, you're going to be down there with some sort of excavator. My gut feeling is that, let's just take it out of there. But, it's that question, we start digging around. It's the closest point to the wetland of all the work that was done without, approval. It will just kind of fill in and things will move on. So do we even want to, dig that thing out? Or just, for the pure fact of it shouldn't be there, we dig it out and then throw that conservation mix on it. Hydroseed or what, well, not hydroseed, but put some sort of thing to stabilize it, throw the conservation seed mix on it and let it go. So those are the two options.
It's not serving any purpose, right?
No, because we're removing the outfall. We're removing the pipe.
So if you're gonna remove that, you might as well remove the splash pad and then just.
And seat it.
Yeah. I forget, how big is that splash pad?
I don't know.
It's approximately, if I had to say, 120 square feet or so.
Oh,
So
That seems,
12
go
area.
ahead.
Yeah.
That seems to be the consensus of the commission that we remove it. Is there anybody who disagrees to that? No, seems to be everybody agrees with that.
Mhm.
The other item that you mentioned, Kevin, that I tend to agree with, unfortunately, I think we should continue this until the permission to work on other people's lands are in place. I'm a little hesitant for us to issue an order for work when we don't know whether they've got permission to do it.
mhm.
But
Sorry, guys, my dog.
the one that does do, because our whole goal is we're trying to get to a resolution, and move on from this property. DPW is still a very big part of this because it's their street. They're going to be accepting the end of it. So even though we're not issuing yet, the commission has generally agreed on the plan as it stands. So that will allow the applicant to then move to DPW, submitting plans, getting their approvals in place. And so we can kind of have this happen simultaneously. So I think
Do you want a vote to accept the new plans?
we'll do, I guess we can just do like sort of it's however you want to phrase it, that we're currently happy with the street part of it and the grading. We're going to have some modifications to the planting plan, but that's kind of, in the grand scheme, that's kind of minor. So we're comfortable where it stands right now, and that we're just essentially waiting on minor changes to the planting plan and the approvals to work on other properties.
So Mike did submit a new plan with a new grading and all of that. So if we vote to accept that plan, and we could even include in the motion that we would close the hearing upon receipt of the permissions to work on other properties, I think we could do that.
Yep, and just to be fully clear, and the minor alterations to the planting plan.
Yep.
So we won't really issue an order this evening, though.
No, we're going to continue, but vote sort of like a vote of confidence in the plan that's been submitted.
So does someone want to make a motion to accept the new plan submitted by Mike as the current plan of record?
I'll make a motion to accept the plan submitted by Mike. You're getting feedback, huh?
Not bad. We can hear you. So we got the motion. You made the motion to accept the plan as the plan of record. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Who seconded?
I think Peter beat Juanita to the punch.
Okay. Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
And so, Mike, you would not be misrepresenting the commission to say that if the permissions to work on the other property and the planting plan were submitted, we would be issuing an order. But that we're not, because of those things not being in place.
Sure.
So
No,
when you
I
have to
thank
have
you.
discussions, you can have, that's a fair representation of where we are.
Perfect. No, that'll let us move forward with DPW, and then we'll revisit, once we're done with them, in case anything major changes.
So a motion to continue this public hearing is in order at this point.
I'll make a motion, we continue the public hearing.
I'll second.
A
Second.
roll call, please.
1 second, I'm still writing.
Okay.
Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, thank you, guys. Have a great Christmas, and
You
we'll
too.
see you in a couple weeks, hopefully, or a little bit longer.
Say Merry Christmas to your puppies who are in the background.
Yeah, we will. Thank you. Have a great night.
Take care,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Okay,
So Kevin, do you want to go back to number 1 or do you want to continue down?
Yeah, let's take care of that one so we don't forget about it. I guess we open the hearing. Does that require a motion?
I don't think so.
I
Okay,
don't
well,
think so,
You can just call it.
because you already called the meeting to order.
we called the
Okay.
meeting to order and the first item was the public hearing, so.
Okay, so this is the thing we see every couple of years. Mass DOT is updating their vegetation management plan. And it's not so much of a, wetland delineation that they submit. They just give you a spray, no spray, or limited spray. And it's all along I-91 and 291. Nothing has changed on those, those two highways. It's just like, when they get to bridges and it's stuff like that, they stop their spray. Or there are like ditches that are technically jurisdictional that they don't spray next to. So, we don't typically go into like high detail with these, but basically they just want us to confirm the boundaries. They've stated that nothing has changed substantially in the last 5 years. So they say we're just, we're approving their spray plan again. But as with our process, we have to automatically continue and allow for public comment.
So a motion to continue this public hearing until our next commission meeting for a period of public comment would be in order. I think Peter's muted, but making the motion.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing until our next meeting.
I'll
Thank
second
you.
it.
Thank you, Fred.
Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item 4, right? Certificates.
Yep. So 71 Elaine Circle is just the next one in this development that is non-jurisdictional, but covered by some old order. So the commission would be issuing a partial certificate of compliance for 71 Elaine Circle.
Is there a motion to issue the partial certificate for 71 Elaine Circle?
I'll make a motion to give the partial certificate for 71 Elaine Circle.
Thank you, Fred. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Peter.
1 second.
We're watching your pen.
Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Thank you. B is 500 Boston Road.
This is an old project. They actually hired a surveyor to go out there and show the limits of everything. I don't have it in front of me. I think it was like a used car or a car lot or something like that. And the approved plans from the old file and the new survey with everything were in agreement. So they, I think it's just one of those ones that never got closed out in the past. So there was a sort of current as-built plan and a message from the folks who did the plan that it appears the project's in compliance. So my recommendation is a full certificate of compliance.
This is the old Weeby Auto, I believe, right, Kevin?
I went home to do the meeting and I left the file on my desk, but I did the full review and there was no concerns with it. So
It's a very old filing, but I think it was Weeby Auto. But
Yeah,
if we've got all the documentations in order,
yeah, because
Any
we don't always
motions?
get that. They did
Right.
a recent survey. So
a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 500 Boston Road is in order.
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 500 Boston Road.
I'll
Thank you,
second that.
Peter. And thank you, Juanita, for the second.
Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Approval of the minutes of the November 24th meeting. Somebody want to make a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion. We accept the minutes of the November 24th meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you, Peter.
Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Item 6 is Hillcrest Park.
So I just wanted to give the commission update. Now it's been like a month and a half, 2 months since the commission voted to issue a one-time fine of $300 for them. Rather than sending it to the park or the cemetery itself, because our issues have been with the manager of the park, we looked up their incorporation documents with the state, and there were two, I don't know if you want to call them trustees or something, identified in that. So we sent certified mailings to both of them, and since then, both have come back unclaimed, or there was one other reasoning for it. There was no receptacle. You have to sign for it. So basically, neither of those two trustees have either been willing to or aware of the fact that these two mailings went out, and they've both since been returned to the office. So I spoke with Chris the other day on, what are our next steps? And I believe you had a suggestion, Chris.
I do. I believe the address of the corporation is the address on Parker Street, correct?
Correct.
I would say that we address them to the trustees and the name of the association, and have a sheriff deliver them and get a signature. That they have received them. That way they can't say they didn't. They've done more work out there, by the way. They cut down a huge tree. One tree snapped, which they obviously needed to take down, but didn't bother to call us and tell us. And then there was another big, looked like an old oak down maybe 50, 60 feet, maybe 80 feet from that one. And so they took that one down. Now, it was rotted on the inside, it looks like, but judging from the healthy wood around the outside of the trunk, there wasn't evidence from the outside, but it's hard to tell without ever seeing. So they've done some more work out there, even after we sent them a fine. Of course, they can plead that they didn't know. So I think getting it delivered in a way where we get a signature can helpfully start to bring it forward.
that's a good idea, Chris. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not that hard. The deputy sheriffs are down on, where are they? They're down, same street where the post office is, their offices, I believe.
All right. I believe we've addressed the agenda. The one thing I'm going to need to do is meetings and the stuff we did today. I'm going to need to meet up with you all in the next, I know it's the holiday week, so it may be difficult, but need to get your signatures on paper to have for the file. So I'll be reaching out to you.
Good, and I might actually be in that area tomorrow at some point. So if you've got some of them, if you're in the office, if not, if you leave them by the front desk, I'll sign them.
All right, I'm not in the office tomorrow. I will be on Thursday morning, but I'll reach out to you all individually and see what works best for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Then a motion to adjourn and say Merry Christmas to everybody is in order.
Okay, I make a motion, we adjourn, and I hope you all have a good holiday. Stay safe, don't gather, and hope to see you soon.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we're getting, the light at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter, so I agree with Juanita. Let's not do anything stupid and before we get to that point.
And
And the final roll, Chris,
Yes.
Juanita,
yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Again, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Take care.
Bye.